So there are these box sets that are a weird mix of classic movies and then really terrible movies, and I'm working my way through them. So today I am watching the 1960 film The Amazing Transparent Man. I don't know the director or anything like that. I'm guessing it'll be a literal title of a transparent man. But thank you so much for sharing in this first time watching with me. If you have any other suggestions for movies you think I should watch, please comment below. And if you want to have a say in what movies or TV shows I watch, be sure to join Patreon. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and check back often for more awesome content. I've never heard of this company before. MCP? Okay. I'm guessing they've been absorbed by another company or are no longer in existence. Ooh, spooky! Okay, an original screenplay, so this isn't based on a book or anything like that. Okay, interesting. I feel like this would have been done like actual cards printed and they just shine this light on it. I love practical effects, so anytime practical effects are used, I know it's less common with newer movies, but I love them. They're just so creative. Hey, I don't recognize that name. This guy escaped from prison or something?
I'm afraid he overdid it.
May I check your driver's license, please?
Yes, of course.
He's like, if I just pretend to be asleep, they'll never know.
Waking up and staring into the badge of an officer. Very sorry to have inconvenienced you.
Well, that's quite all right.
He's like, we'll just go with the honor system. No need to investigate further. Just an escaped convict on the loose, but yeah, it's cool, it's cool.
Get it. Why'd you break me out?
You'll find out when we get where we're going.
Very ominous indeed. Yeah, what was he in prison for? That's quite the house, oh my. It's like very, you know, terrifying piano music just looming in the background. Bum, bum, bum.
It's lovely. What is it? It's only a bit of shrapnel. It's a keepsake.
That piece of shrapnel.
Charming keepsake, oh my, shrapnel.
What kind of an idiot are you, Krenner? I can't poke my nose through a bank door without getting it blown off.
Oh, bank robbery? Okay.
Well, I check closely on all the people I use. I know about the wife who turned you in, and the child.
It's like, how dare you bring up my personal life? Oh, give me a sing.
But if you ever mention my daughter's name again, you'll have another hole in your head, I promise you.
Like, always, like, got the cigarette half in his mouth, like,
What one of these bullets will do, son, it'll rip out your spine and roll it up like a ball of string.
Yeah, it's a horrifying visual, but it's accurate.
You work for us faithfully, or you'll be turned over to the authorities. I understand there's a reward of $5,000.
Oh, they're holding him ransom now. Excellent.
Police need know nothing of my part in the escape. You see, they'll also pay $5,000 for a dead Faust.
He's like, so it really doesn't matter to me either way. I just need you to steal these things for me. It's gonna be like Reanimator or something.
Yeah. They'll seem more simple to you after you've seen what goes on.
Will it? They're conducting radioactive X-ray experiments.
It's not going to hurt.
They're gonna X-ray this little hamster?
Don't be afraid.
How could he not be afraid? You're tying him to a table. That's one thing when I like watching older movies, anytime there's animals involved, it hurts extra because it's like their rights were zero, basically. Oh, my heart. I love the old movie soundtracks though. Like, it's just, they just did such a good job of like creating, it feels like you're in like a live event almost. Like, it feels like that's what they were going for, is having like a live orchestra in the theater.
You see, I touch it. Does me no harm.
They turn the guinea pig invisible?
Yes, Mr. Faust.
What? Transparent, invisible, okay, yes. That's what they're gonna do with humans now?
The guinea pig. Ulmer has perfected the ray to the point there's no danger to the subject. No ill effects at all.
What are they gonna do with an invisible guinea pig?
First things first, please. See? No harm done at all. Perfectly healthy.
Except for all that radiation they'll find out later. Oh god.
All right, after your trip.
Blasted him with x-rays. Oh no, he bonked him. He's like, and I hate these sheets. He's like, I don't want to be involved in your crazy experiment. I'm hitting the road.
Not I. Only what's left of my soul.
Came to get some.
What? They locked up his soul?
In that cheese box? Well, open it up. Let her out.
Please, Mr. Faust, I do not joke. Not about my daughter.
His daughter's in there? What?
My wife had died of experiments. I had been forced to perform on her in a concentration camp.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Wore hoods. I couldn't see their faces. I didn't know my wife was one of them until it was.
Oh, that's so cruel. Oh my gosh.
Then you can't open it.
I could open that thing blindfolded.
He's like, oh, you question my robbing skills? Let me just open any lock you need.
All it got him was a lump in the head.
He's still out. I couldn't bring him around.
And even how he's wearing all black, or what I'm assuming is all black, and she's in all white.
You never know. I'll keep it in mind.
Whoa, bonked him.
Trying to make a deal. You must have heard what he said. He was talking a double cross.
He got untied somehow, just came out of that room.
If you will relax, Mr. Faust, there will be no pain. You may lose consciousness.
Famous last words.
You become invisible, but there should be no other ill effect.
How do you know it'll work on a human? Do you know what'll happen?
We don't. No, you're the first one.
Such experiments, there can be no slip-up.
It's like difference between a guinea pig and a human, though. So good luck, everybody. It's a cool concept for like a sci-fi movie to become invisible. So yeah, and especially giving that skill to someone who's known for robbing banks. The effects aren't the worst. It's interesting how they're doing it in the same way they had the guinea pigs and it showed like the skeleton and then nothing. They're not great, obviously, but here we are.
You stop breathing. Well, do something.
And how interesting for like actors to have to interact with an invisible thing and there's nothing there. Like it's not someone in like a green screen or something. Or a green suit. It's nothing. Oh yeah, he's like, I'm gonna punch you out because you can't find me.
Choke you hard enough, you'll bring me back.
Yeah, do you want to stay invisible forever? Oh gosh.
You neglected one thing, chum. How much?
$1,000. $1,000 every time you do a job.
Oh my.
If I'm gonna be it, I want money. Lots of money.
And this like POV style, like he's breaking the fourth wall, looking into the camera, talking to Faust. That was a great evil laugh.
Now, whatever you're up to, I'm worth plenty to you, or you wouldn't have gone to all that trouble of breaking me out.
I'm guessing the actor who plays Faust is just off camera saying his lines, and that's why he's looking directly into camera.
Well, walking into that nuclear vault's worth about 25 grand.
Oh my. Whoa! See you later. He's making his escape.
25 grand? You're mad. I don't have that kind of money.
Then you do the job, Major.
But you're invisible. What's your risk?
All right, you'll go tonight. Flora will drive you.
Yeah, I'm curious what the like timeline of this invisible power is. If he only turns back into his human self once he's back under the machine. He's like, you know how many banks I could rob now that nobody can see me? And just like the doors opening and nobody coming out.
Back in 10 minutes. I gotta check the other post.
Yeah, and him being invisible, it gives like them to use special effects, but also without having to add a ton of stuff, like just having a door open and you get, oh, bonked him, so many bonks. You get the effect that he's walking through despite having to create a monster or create something crazy, you know, you can just have the door open. Woo! See you later. I'm guessing they used like fishing wire or something to move things along. But yeah, comment below if you know how they did any of these practical effects. I love learning about that stuff.
Set up with each of us covering the other.
Yes, but it's quite obvious neither one of you was covering the other. In fact, there was no coverage at all.
Yeah, like how do you explain that? You're like, something came out of nowhere and hit me. What did he look like? I don't know. I couldn't see anybody.
Full potential of your invention, because my aim is to make an entire army invisible. Do you understand? An entire...
What? That's terrifying.
13 will put him beyond that point. I will not use it on a human.
Is his daughter not human? Yeah, and this Krenner, the guy, obviously doesn't care if he dies or not. He's like, I'll get a $5,000 reward for your death, so he's not concerned. He just needed a body, basically, to who's good at bank robbery and that would be willing or forced into these experiments. I feel like they could have planned this better, you know? Like, plan all the things they want him to do while he's invisible in, like, one day. Whoa! Instead of constantly changing him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Oh, don't even say it. Your cut will be 40%.
Oh my, that's quite the cut. Yeah, he's gonna walk in the middle of the take so nobody can see him. And they move the car. It's like, you're gonna talk to no one, and the door is gonna open by itself. Yeah, like, even if he walks out with a bag of cash, is no one gonna notice just a bag floating? Like, he doesn't have pockets. Like, where's he gonna hide this money, basically? Yeah, like, come on, man. I love it. It's so ridiculous. Yeah! Oh, bonked him. Yeah, just all of this for... Oh, he's coming back! Okay, there is a timer on it. Oh, shoot. It's wearing off, bud. Get out of there. And cut for the world's worst dramatic response.
What's the matter? What
Drive.
changed?
Drive!
What changed? I don't know. I went in invisible and I came out my regular form.
Well, what can we do? The man makes himself invisible. Locks mean nothing to him.
And they're totally okay with this concept. They're not like, what do you mean he's invisible? They're like, okay, cool, he's invisible now. We've definitely seen the same driving shot like 9 times.
I'll teach them to double-cross me. Take my bags outside and then watch for them. Right.
No one said transparent yet, and I feel like that's in the title, so... How am I supposed to say that's the name of the movie?
What are you doing?
Giving you your split. You're on your own, baby.
See you later, toots! I'm taking the car and I'm taking the money.
Start walking anytime.
But you just can't go off and leave me.
Wow! And just like that, he's invisible. Just sporadically changes back and forth. I love it.
Hi, Laura.
Take the money and run. What? Oh, that worked.
Your son's dead, Julian. Krenner's been using you all along.
Whoa, plot twist. That's quite the lie. Oh, Julian, no. Everybody's backstory is horribly depressing.
I made a deal with you. Now you cross me and I'll kill you.
I'm a dying man, Mr. Faust. Radiation poisoning.
Oh, those experiments.
You used me just to get away from Krenner.
To free Maria. I had no choice.
Well, that's what you do when you hang around with all that radiation all day.
Joey, will you please
Wait
listen
for
to
me
me?
outside. Wait outside.
It's like, I told you to take the money and run. Oh, shoot, he got Laura. Oh, God. Should have left when she had the chance.
Joey.
It's a very dramatic death. Oh, and just like that. We don't know where she's hit, but it's bad. He seems very concerned. And not. Peekaboo, I see you. Oh, bonked him. Oh, God. Is that acid? An acid bonk? Oh, the man's dying of radiation poisoning. Do you really need to beat him over the head? Oh. I love the, like, fake punches where you can clearly tell that they're missing them. That scream. Ah, there's gonna be an invisible fight soon. Are they gonna blow up? Oh, shoot. Oh, yeah. Yep. Oh my God, yes. That's insane. What? They just set off a nuclear bomb. Okay. No need to inquire further. Everything seems fine here.
Sorry, I got my orders. No one enters this area. Too much fallout for safety.
Yeah, they definitely just set off a nuclear bomb, and now everybody's just like there would be anybody left. That's one way to end a movie. Just blow them all up. It's okay if these guys go in, though, and test for radiation. Oh my gosh, they're all doomed. You're all doomed!
Be with you in a minute, Smitty.
It's like, you stay here and absorb all this radiation.
Well, Doctor, you and your friends have succeeded in blowing up half the county.
That's it?
Problem. What would you do?
Why do they keep breaking the fourth wall? They're like, oh, we have the option to create an invisible army. The end. Like, but it's more dangerous if our enemies have the option to steal our secrets. So that was my first time watching the 1960 film The Amazing Transparent Man, even though they refer to him as invisible most of the time, not transparent. And I'm sad I didn't get to say my line of, hey, that's the name of the movie. But I enjoyed it. It wasn't great, but it was a relatively short movie, and at least it wasn't like a 4-hour. They just kept dragging it on. I love sci-fi, so I'm glad this had this sci-fi element of this major who wants to conduct these experiments and is holding all these people hostage and trying to, you know, conduct his plan of getting this invisible army created, which sounds terrifying. And even at the end when he's like, oh, like, we can't let this secret get out, what if somebody found out about it? Like, it's more dangerous to work on this and have the possibility of our enemies finding out than to actually successfully go through with this plan. I don't know how they set off a nuclear blast that only took out half of the county, but also they're turning people invisible, so maybe being scientifically accurate isn't really what they were going for. It was an interesting concept to have this bank robber, and that's what they're using as their test subject. Like, well, we've got you out of jail, you're kind of in a tough spot, like, we'll just turn you in if you don't do what we say, and then obviously just slowly kill him with radiation poisoning and blow him up at the end anyway. I didn't recognize any of the actors or the director or anything, so comment below, would I know them from anything, or do they mostly do more B movies? I enjoyed their performances, and I thought it was interesting the way the actors would have had to interact with nothing, basically. Like, in modern movies, if you have a creature or something that isn't really there or is altered, usually it's like a person in a green suit or whatever that they need. This, I feel like it just would have been talking to air. There wouldn't have been nothing there. Maybe they had him, you know, sitting off camera so we couldn't see him and then just reading his lines that way. That's my prediction. Or maybe they added in his audio after. I'm not too sure. I love practical effects, so I'm glad we got to see some in this when we saw that canister floating along, and I'm assuming that was fishing line or something like that. But yeah, comment below if you know how they did any of those practical effects. And I love that scene when he steals the money from the safe and you just see that one bag of money slowly floating along, and the security guy walks up to it and is like, what is this doing here? And I don't know how he thought his plan would work. He would just walk out with this bag floating in the air and no one would find that suspicious. Like I said, he doesn't have pockets. He can't really carry a briefcase or anything. Like, how is he going to get this money out without being undetected? He can be undetected, but he can't turn these objects invisible. And then all those invisible fight scenes were pretty funny because people are just like turning left and right and being like, oh god, oh, the punches, like, just so funny. But how do you choreograph a fight with an invisible enemy? And the concept of this being an invisible bank robber. And I don't imagine the budget for this was high. It would comment below and let me know. I don't know if this got a box office release or anything like that, but I feel like having an invisible creature or, you know, bank robber in this case allowed them for a little bit of freedom in the budget because they didn't have to create a monster that looked terrible. All we saw was when he was like fading in and out, and I thought it looked okay, but having him be invisible gave them that freedom to, you know, just have a door open and no one's there. You know, they just could move some things off camera and then show that, and it definitely allowed, I think, a little bit more for the audience knows that he's invisible, so you don't have to put anything there. And I think if you have a smaller budget, maybe that's more than what you're going for. I would have much rather see, you know, doors opening on their own and things floating than a really terribly created monster or something like that. I love terrible movies, but sometimes they're just so bad it like takes you completely out of it. This, I was like, yes, you're invisible. These are things that would be happening and you're invisible. I also loved how the entire town basically believed this invisibility story. They're like, yeah, we have the ability to turn you invisible. No big deal. They're like, oh, the guy at the bank was, fading in and out. He must be invisible. Nobody had any questions. Nobody was like, where are you doing these experiments? Until the police looked into it in the end. But again, that was also after there was a nuclear explosion. So obviously they had some questions. And he's like, oh, an invisible army, eh? Okay. Like, no further questions, no just how are you doing this, other than, oh, our first concern is let's not let our enemies find out about this, and just having that last shot of him looking in the camera and saying like, what would you do? And I don't know if he was trying to be like super in depth with the audience or just kind of make like fear mongering almost, like we can't let our enemies know what's happening and we must protect our trade secrets. At first I thought they were keeping the scientist's daughter locked up because they were conducting experiments on her or something, but no, it was just to keep the scientist around, although it sounded like he didn't have long to live either after all that radiation exposure and poisoning, and I thought maybe they didn't know that radiation would cause that, but they obviously seemed very aware of it, and the scientist is even conflicted. He's like, I don't want to do this because I'm just going to be poisoning this guy, and he had obviously been exposed to this for a very long time as well. The whole daughter being locked away storyline just seemed like unnecessary, other than to just have a reason for why the scientist wouldn't leave. Like, oh, let's just have his daughter locked up in a room and then he has to stay. And even how the major was lying to Julian about his son being in prison and being alive, and it was just like, how elaborate did these schemes need to be, and why is everybody's backstory just so heartbreaking? It's like, okay, Julian, your son is actually dead, and your daughter may be locked in a closet, and as soon as you're reunited, you're actually only going to have probably weeks left to live because you're dying of radiation poisoning. Also, you had to conduct horrible experiments on your wife, and you didn't know it was your wife until it was too late, and just like, oh my gosh, like just so intense. I'm not sure what the target audience for this film was, if they were trying to make like a really deep philosophical film and like science experiments and people being, held hostage and used against their will, and bank robberies, and then all that fourth wall stuff when he's looking directly in the camera because it was supposed to be Joey's POV was interesting. It's a little disarming when you see that happen, and I definitely wasn't expecting it, and it didn't happen for every conversation. It just seemed to be random conversations they decided to use that tactic. That opening shot of Joey escaping out of prison and being picked up in the car from Laura, and the video quality for that wasn't great. I know some of it was like during the nighttime as well, but I was worried that that's what the whole movie was going to be like. Luckily, the video quality seemed to pick up, and I'm glad because it would have been hard to watch. I know it's an older film as well, but I was like, oh, this is not going to be great. Another film with a limited cast and basically 2 or 3 locations. The majority of it took place at that farmhouse that they were all hiding out at, and then the few bank robbery and the security team scenes and that very quick exterior shot of him escaping from prison. I'm curious if that farmhouse still exists today, and it said in the opening credits that this was all filmed in Texas when Joey wants to have that ransom of $25,000. What would that be today? Comment below. I imagine a pretty substantial amount, considering the major was only going to pay him $1,000 per job, and I don't know how many robberies they had planned, but it seems like his ultimate goal was to eventually build this army, so he obviously just wanted to use Joey as a test subject and to see what was going to happen, and the scientist was like, I haven't perfected this, like that's why you're fading in and out of being visible and being able to be seen. Overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting of having this concept of turning him invisible through radiation. I'm glad none of the hamsters were harmed, although they probably also have radiation poisoning at this point. I really liked the soundtrack. I find the soundtrack in older movies just so interesting because it's mostly instrumental and really helps to build suspense and tension throughout the film. I love practical effects, which there was in this as well. But thank you so much for sharing in this first time watching with me. If you have any other suggestions for movies you think I should watch, please comment below. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and check back often for more awesome content. This guy escaped from prison or something? Charming keepsake. Oh my, shrapnel. They're conducting radioactive x-ray experiments. What are they gonna do with an invisible guinea pig? They locked up his soul? I'm taking the car and I'm taking the money. Well, that's what you do when you hang around with all that radiation all day.